7:24, you're watching hashtag GTV Breakfast. My name is Kafui Day. For me, the quote of the day, that gutter is disturbed. Charlie, the gutter itself is disturbed. The gutter has psychological issues. We have a psychologist on the show, and I'll put the question to him. The gutter is disturbed. There's some small funeral vibe that I'll let the owner of that vibe share with you in a short while. But just before I go sit with my guest, there's some spillover messages from the husband support during pregnancy conversation I had with midwife Ruby. If you missed it, now for you. Please go, but we have a solution. Go to Facebook and look for GTV Ghana, and then you see the video there. And while you are there, make sure to pay your TV license, okay? It's *447 *333#. So a couple of messages came in. Nana Akumia says, my baby is 1 month today. Whenever I call the mom on the phone, she tells me that my baby will be laughing. So the baby actually hears mommy's voice when she puts it on speaker. Joanna Addo says, my husband is being very supportive. I only do the washing. The rest, my husband. Okay. All righty. And Achampon just says, great news and outlooks, and gives us lots of emojis right here on the show. Okay, so you keep them coming in 055-556-1034. Today is the 11th of July, 2023. What happened 110 years ago today? It's a quiz that I'm giving you. Go to ChatGPT and Google and get all the answers. But 110 years ago, something happened. Let me know. It's very important to Ghanaians. Okay? And now I can introduce my guests. Seated to the far left in the really dazzling colors is Professor Daniel Bruce, who is a clinical psychologist. And sitting next to him is Dr. Eric Odrosai, who is the Director General of Internal Audit Agency. Gentlemen, you're both welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prof, how can a gutter get stressed? I mean, how can a gutter be psychologically disturbed?
When a gutter is psychologically disturbed, it means it has been forced to perform a function it has not been promised to perform.
So those gutters in Ho, they were disturbed, right?
Oh yeah, they were disturbed beyond their capacity. So they also disturb you. To know that if I want me to be friendly with you, you should have calculated the volume of liquid that will run through me, and you construct me as such. But because you have not, you are forcing me to accommodate a volume that I'm not created to accommodate. So I'll throw the rest to you for you to reason.
The pictures from Ho over the weekend were terrible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the gutters are disturbed, and they are disorganized.
Disturbed and disorganized.
Yes.
English is not our language.
It's not at all.
Doctor, you were sharing an experience with somebody who made some serious threats.
Yes. So that because English is not our first language, we should understand people's realities by what they say. And I was sharing something with you that having a conversation with somebody, his level of education is not all that high. And he told me that, look, if I'm not very careful, you become a funeral. I said, how can one person become a funeral?
He says, if you're not very careful, you will become a funeral.
Hey. How can I become a funeral? He said, oh, you don't understand. So what happens at funerals? So a dead body will believe. He said, yes, that's exactly how you become.
Hey!
And I said, hey, I have to position myself.
That was a threat.
It was a threat. But I understood him in that context. So since he said that, anytime I hear somebody say, you become a funeral.
You become a funeral, you know, say, Charlie.
It has a special meaning.
Indeed. Language is interesting. I mean, just before we go on the air, I was having a chat with learning. You know, I like to learn languages from my people. We have so many languages spoken here at GBC. And I found out that when you go from singular to plural, things happen. So in Dagbani, one man, a man is do. And then if you talk about men, it's dahaba. Yes. So do, man. And then men, dahaba. Love it. Love Dagbani. I'm learning from Maltiti. Follow me on TikTok. In Evra, it's unchu, one man. But unchu, many men. So you just add wo to any noun and then you have the plural in ever. Devi is a child. Devi wo, children. Ga for man is nu. And for men is him. Thank you.
Consult.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes. Phone in ever, phone. Many phones. Phone wo. All right. Chi, Merima. One man. Plural, Merima. I learned that from the beauty from Brom, Bene herself. So I'm learning my languages. I shall continue with some more tomorrow. Gentlemen, what's on your mind? I'll start with Prof. Bruce.
Thank you. What's on my mind this morning?
Yes.
It's about a benefit I derived from birth certificate.
Ooh.
Yes. When I was of age, and my mother sent me to school for admission.
Okay.
That time, the rule was that you must raise up your hand over your head and get hold of this your left ear.
Okay.
That was the yardstick and the criteria used to determine whether you are 6 years old.
Right hand
Over your head
to touch your left ear.
Your left ear.
That was how you determine how old you were.
Yes.
If you
At
couldn't
least
do it.
if you are 6 years before they grant you permission to be admitted.
So for those who have short arms, what happened?
You are not 6 years old.
You are not qualified to go to
You are not qualified to go to class 1.
Sure.
So that day, the admission officer, the head teacher, asked me to raise up my hand. So it got to this point.
It got to the middle of your head.
Yeah. He said, Madam, I told you your child is not 6 years old. Send him back to the house.
But were you 6?
I was 6. No, my mother said, no, my child is 6 years. I gave birth to him.
Exactly.
And he said, how do you prove it? He said, I have a birth certificate.
Thank you.
So he said, okay, go and bring the birth certificate. I didn't know whether she dragged me home or she left me somewhere. I can't remember. But that day she ran home and brought the birth certificate and showed it to the man. The man rose up and saluted my mother.
Correct.
I said, no. I have denied some pupils who have gone to class 1 and maybe they were being class 3 now, but because I used that crooked method, they have denied them admission. So he called all the people there who were seeking admission for their children that, look, if you have a birth certificate, go home and bring it. I'm sorry, maybe I've denied some of your kids entry class 1. That was how birth certificate saved me. So birth certificate is very, very important. Before me, there was someone who came to join me in class 1. He went the last year, he was not picked. Because according to the same admission officer, he showed him 5 fingers and asked him to determine whether he was 6 years old. He said, how many fingers are these? He said 4. He said, you say 4? He said 4. He said, okay, go home. You are not 6 years old. So the year that I was also to be 9, the mother brought him back to the school again. But you know, when they were going home, he told the mother that, look, how can that old man show me 5 fingers and ask me how many fingers? So I told him it's 4.
Because she's expecting him to know that.
Yes, how can you show him 5 fingers and say, I told him it's 4.
Intentionally told him that it was 4.
The mother said,
You've missed
Mauli, why? So I want to appeal to all parents that they must take their birth certificates for their children very seriously. The day that they are born, all the names that they will give to their children, including Christian names or Muslim names, they must all enter the birth certificate there and then. But I also want to appeal to some of our colleagues who will nicodemously go to Commissioner for Oaths and swear that day I was not born. So he wanted to be born again. And he will be born again and give it a new date. Please, they should not sin. Spiritually, it's a sin. Socially, it's a sin. Psychologically, it's an abnormality.
That's what's on the mind of Professor Daniel Bruce, our resident psychologist, right here at the breakfast table, Tuesday, July 11th. Dr. Sai,
Yes,
did you also
sir.
have to pass the right hand over the left ear test?
No. I went straight to primary.
You went
primary 1 and I was 6. Yes. I think, this morning, the finance ministry has walked its talk by paying the coupons and the interest rates due individual bondholders. Yes, so I think it is something that we have to commend the finance ministry for. And we also have to commend the individual bondholders and all such bondholders who were able to push government and push the Ministry of Finance to do the needful. Now our economy is gradually recovering. Kav, let me also commiserate with the people of Ho and its environment, especially those in the Asogli areas. I think Prof has indicated, explained to us the implications of putting unnecessary pressure on gutters. Please, family members in Owo-Enite environs, let us be very careful. The authorities will do what they are supposed to do, but let us be mindful of our surroundings. Do not dump waste, unnecessary waste in gutters. Clear your surroundings, clear your areas, because more rains are likely to come. Finally, CAF. Today, 11 July 2023, is African Union Anti-Corruption Day. Ghana is among 48 countries that has signed and ratified the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption in Africa. And we are proud to be a signatory to that document. And today marks 20th anniversary, 20 years since the document was developed. It is not enough to ratify. It is not enough to sign. What we need to do is that we should up our game as far as preventing corruption is concerned. Thankfully, as a country, we have developed the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, which is under implementation, and we are doing so well under it. But there are areas that we need to improve as far as our National Anti-Corruption Action Plan is concerned. And I would say that we should look at our asset declaration regime again, so that if we can review the laws or amend the laws so that once assets are declared by public office holders, it can be verified. You can open it and know whether they are giving you empty envelope or not. So that we need to review it. We also have to criminalize illicit enrichment amongst us, people in public office. And I will also call again for mainstreaming lifestyle audits into public administration. I believe that if we are able to improve some of these processes, our efforts at fighting corruption would be one of the best. And we should continue to strengthen internal audit and control systems and continue to use the preventive approach so that we'll be able to prevent corruption, because corruption is a disease, it affects development, and once we are a signatory to the United African Union Convention on the fight against corruption, we should up our game as far as fighting corruption is concerned. So congratulations to all of us, but there's more room for improvement.
Thank you so much. That's Dr. Osai's take on what's on his mind, the significance of the July 11th, which is Anti-Corruption Day, and the first issue that you spoke about. Well, you conversated with the people of Asogli for the flooding issues. Yes, indeed. Okay. All right. Hey, so let us know what's on your mind this morning. Hashtag GTV Breakfast. My name is Kafui Day. Today is also the 110th birthday of our second Prime Minister, Kofi Abrefa-Busia, who was born on this day in 1913. Can you imagine? Were you old enough to remember him?
I was not old enough at all. To remember him, but I read a lot about him, and because I did government and some aspect of political and constitutional development of Ghana, I knew the role he played. In fact, at a point in time in our political history, we thought that the name Busia means best university students in Africa.
Best university students in Africa.
At a point that we were, so he was somebody a lot of people were looking up to, especially when it comes to politics and people doing advocacy as far as good governance is concerned. And when you look at the activities leading to our independence, the NLM group, the Matimehu group, and the rest. Then after that, the Progress Party, the party that brought him to become head of state of this country. It tells you that he's somebody who has contributed a lot as far as political and constitutional development of Ghana is concerned. So such people needs to be celebrated.
Prof.
Well,
you were old enough to remember him.
Oh no, not at all.
At all?
No, not at all.
113
not at all.
No, but he was in government in up to 1972.
Oh no, those days we were not politically conscious.
The politics, there was no internet, so depending on where you are.
So what did you learn about him in school? That's what. What did you learn anything? Was there any coverage of his life and what he achieved?
We were told that he coined the noun Akan. Yeah, he actually defined that ethnic group as those people speaking that language, Akan. The meaning.
He was a sociologist. Right?
He is a sociologist. Yeah, Uwato is a sociologist, and we also told that during his time there was something we call Elias Complaints Order, where a lot of Nigerians were asked to go home, and they have to dispose of their properties left and right because they were in a hurry to go. It was then I got to know that where we call Lagos Town in Accra New Town was actually a residence for Nigerians. And most of their houses there belong to Nigerians. And some even said, with all apology, the present residence of our President Nima, that house belongs to a Nigerian. They were actually in the business owning those houses, but because of the Aliens Complaints Order, they have to sell off those properties in order to move out of the country. And in 1983, we were told that it's because of retaliation that is why Ghanaians were also repatriated from Nigeria to show Ghana that yes, we were there once, and some time ago you also asked us to come back. So when we remember all these things, I think time is past and time is gone that Ghana and Nigeria should look at themselves as brothers and sisters. When Ghana is good, Nigerians can come here. When Ghana is bad, Ghanaians can go there. So I think we have learned the bitter lessons of asking citizens of one nation by way of repatriating them or forcing them to go out of the country to their own country where they know very well that the country they were going to was in very economic crisis in 1983. So we should become more brotherly, we should become more loving. Now that President Tinubu is appointed as the ECOWAS chairman.
So soon?
Yes.
Right
he must make sure that there is peace and unity across the length and breadth of West Africa, so that we can begin to actually exert and express our independent attitudes as nations, that we should start producing things on our own that depending upon the foreign powers that will mutilate our currencies and make them useless, and we are always going to borrow and we'll be running into trouble. So that's the least I can remember about Busia.
And you know, for every action, there's a reaction. So
yes.
After the Nigerians were taken out of the system and forced to go home, there was a repatriation of Nigerians.
1983.
Yes, Nigerians were also brought back from Nigeria. Ghanaians were brought back to Nigeria.
Shehu Shagari.
Shagari's time. You know, so maybe 9 years, 11 years after, a decade and so, a couple of years after what happened with the Aliens Compliance Order, then Nigerians were also. So you had people coming back from 99 days in Agege.
Yes. I read that book.
Yes,
it was written by Yalbrinya.
Exactly.
I read it 4 times. 99 days in Agege.
Powerful story.
Powerful story. And you see him, his bushy hair, and
his ghetto blaster,
at the cover of the book. And I quite remember my father bought that book for me, and he said, "You have to read this book." I read the book 4 times.
What did you like about that book, 99 Days in Agege?
What I liked about the book is how he organized himself to return back to Ghana on the 99th day. How he packed his things into his van and he came, and when he arrived in Ghana, the things he brought and how he was welcomed. So I can't find my copy. I think I have to go and look for my copy because Yalbrinya's book is a must-read book.
99 Days.
99 Days in Agege, written by Yalbrinya.
Look for the book.
I'll look for it.
I'll see whether we can put that picture up.
Yeah.
So, Prof, did you ever read that book?
Yeah, I read it, but in fact, I forgot it. I read it.
Yeah.
99 Days in Agege. I read it. I read it in 1984.
Okay. Oh, just a year after the people were brought back.
Yeah.
So it was quite fresh.
Yeah,
It was fresh.
Yeah,
He did well.
Yeah,
he did well. Yalbrinya did well.
Good story. So document the history. So the 11th July, that's the significance. It's the birthday, 110th birthday of the second Prime Minister of Ghana, who, by the way, appointed former President Kufuor as a deputy foreign minister back in the day.
Yes.
And that's a copy of the book. That's the book right there. 99 Days
in Agege. Yalbrinya's experience.
One time.
Correct.
That's the picture there.
And you see the
You
and
see.
the ghetto blaster.
So I think we should reproduce.
He should reproduce it.
Okay. It's no more in.
It's no more in the
circulation. So,
but I think I should have mine somewhere. These books, I keep them well to remember my father.
All right. Okay. So let's still on the Busia theme. Let's now get on the line and speak to the Executive Director of the Busia Institute for Rural and Democratic Development, Anani Ejei. Good morning, Mr. Ejei. Welcome to GTV Breakfast on the 110th anniversary of the birth of Prime Minister Busia.
Thank you, my brother, and greetings to all the viewers and those who are listening to us on the other platforms.
Now, we have a lot of young people watching GTV Breakfast through their phones. So these are Gen Zs, people who are in their 20s and 30s. Why should they care about this date in particular and the man, Prime Minister Busia?
Thank you. Today is a great day for Ghana and for humanity, because on this day, 110 years ago, God gave us a remarkable gift in the person of Kofi Abrisah Busia. In fact, the name Busia itself is a P word, Busia.
Okay.
Just there
like a loan.
And also Busia carefully. You realize that he was indeed loaned to us, and he did a great job to the glory of God, and he served his country well. I'm not surprised about what he did. Perhaps he was destined to serve that way, because back in 1939, when he was studying in Oxford, he sent a letter to a friend of his in Wenchi. And in that letter, he made a profound statement. And I quote, and this statement is found in a book that is called Axioms of K. Busia. I quote, knowledge is useless unless it makes us better servants of humanity. Unquote. This is what Busia said in 1939. Knowledge is useless unless makes us better servants of humanity. So back to your question. It is good for succeeding generations to know about Kofi Busia, and it is good to commemorate his birth, 110 years, because here was a man who acquired knowledge, and he thought that the best way to utilize the knowledge he had was to serve his God and country. Indeed, that is what he did. So if we are commemorating the birth of Busia, we are trying to tell this generation and those who will come that in whatever capacity we find ourselves, we must prioritize service to humanity, God and humanity. And he also said sometime when he was speaking to the students of Mpraizu Secondary School somewhere in 1968 that if you are going out and you have no compelling edge to do something to better the situation or to help someone, then you better not go out. Because when you leave this world, nobody will remember you. And we continue to live in other lives by helping people. So this man's life was about service, service, service. And the best way we can be useful to our society is to serve. So this is an example of somebody who lived to serve. So it is good to remember him and to find a way of replicating what he was so as to make society better.
What do you reckon?
That is my answer to your question.
Thank you so much, Mr. J. What do you reckon would be some of his greatest achievements?
Well, it will take a whole day or more even to talk about his achievements.
Give us like the top three.
I will look at it from two perspectives. Busia was a scholar, a reputable global scholar, and also a politician. As a scholar, he became the first African to hold professorship on the Ghanaian soil in 1954 at the University of Ghana. The first African to become a professor on the Ghanaian soil and in Africa. It is undisputable. And so he helped in deepening the position of Africa on the academic map of the world. He was a professor on many continents, and he served in his own country. He did a whole lot as a professor, published many seminar books and other things. So that is remarkable. Secondly, as a politician, when he served as the Prime Minister of Ghana during the Second Republic, one of the notable achievements was the introduction of a policy called rural development. With this policy, he centralized the rural areas so as to stem the tide of rural urban migration, especially among the youth, such that wherever you lived, whether you were in Kumasi or Accra or in Swatra or Sankor or Hamide, you could live a life of dignity and contribute to national development. So many hospitals and clinics and health centers sprang up all over the country. Many of these facilities have now become district hospitals and others. Then many schools also sprang up. So through Busia, we realized that irrespective of where one lived, they were worthy enough to be counted as citizens, and they could also contribute effectively to national development. So these are the areas that were remarkable as far as his administration as Prime Minister was concerned.
What would you reckon to be some of the things that, looking back, were failures or shortcomings during his short tenure as Prime Minister? So Mr. Busia, Mr. Ajay his line has dropped, but basically we're just thinking about the significance of this particular person who led Ghana for 3 years, 69 to 72, and was overthrown by the Champong regime in 1972, 13th January. Yes, and you mentioned the aliens compliance order. There was also a famous no court conversation back in the day, and Apollo 569. So many things happened during his time. But he's also known for national service, for rural development,
local government,
yeah. So I guess
and the rest.
Looking back in terms of history, you would see that there's always pluses and minuses.
And you realize that after the 1966 coup, he was among the people who restored parliamentary democracy in Ghana. Because he led the Progress Party into election and he won the seat for them. You know, so for the 3 years between 1969 to 1972, we were on a certain path until General Ikea Champon came in.
All right. So what I suggest is that just go out there, go get a book and read, or just Google it. Google his name and then get some information about him. This is one of the leaders of our country, democratically elected from 69 to 72, and it's important that we remember.
And it's important that President Edward Akufo-Addo came into the picture
exactly
that same period.
Exactly.
And President Edward Akufo-Addo is the father of the
current president. Yes. So he was a ceremonial president back then, between 69 and 72. So that's a dip into history. A shout out to our good friend Anani from lawyer Frimpong, who would have done justice to this topic.
I missed him.
Very much. Anoche. Yes, indeed. I'm sure he will be expounding on this on social media, definitely. 055-556-1034. Still staying on the topic of leaders, the long-awaited reopening of the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park to the general public has been announced for today, 8:30 a.m. And so the acting director of the park, Mr. Edward Kwao, said so. He says, "We wish all visitors a pleasant and enriching experience. And we are expecting to draw in close to 100,000 individuals every year coming to pay their homage to Ghana's first president and gain insights into his remarkable life and enduring legacy. Adult Ghanaians will pay 25 Ghana cedis. Children will pay 5 Ghana. Foreigners will pay more. I'll confirm what the foreigners will pay later on, and hopefully we'll get a report on that opening. Just to wrap up with...
but Kaf, with this one, I would advise that one, they should keep proper accounts of the money, and two, they should make sure that they reinvest the money into maintaining the facility as it is today.
Awesome.
Maintenance culture is very important.
Very true. Okay, good. Let me just wrap up with Mr. Eleni Ajay, whose line dropped a couple of minutes ago. Mr. Ajay, Executive Director of the Busia Institute for Rural and Democratic Development. We're talking about some of the challenges and some of the criticisms that people may have had about Prime Minister Busia. And does that in any way take away from his legacy?
Well, as a human being, I wouldn't say Busia was a saint. No one can make any claim of total infallibility to him or anybody else. But what I must say is that many of the things that he was criticized apologized sorely about. Eventually, time vindicated him. For example, looking at the apartheid system in South Africa and Buzia's approach, almost the whole of Africa, especially the leaders, were saying that we should tackle it with arms, guns. But Buzia said, no, ideas are more powerful than guns. And from our culture, we say that hot water does not drown people. It's the same normal cold water, whatever it may be. So let's talk. Let's engage the South African authorities. Let us engage them in dialogue. And he was misrepresented as if he had caused a crime. And people were calling for his head and all that. But what happened eventually? It was dialogue that solved the South African problem, and Mandela became the first black president of that country. So Buzia was somebody who was looking far ahead of his time. Even when he was introducing plantation development in Ghana with emphasis on teak trees, people thought that because he came from a rural place, he was only thinking about trees. But that time, we had a lot of timber, the forest and all that. But he was looking beyond that time and realized that at the time will come, we will need teak trees for many things. He went ahead and implemented it. Today, Stamnot has vindicated Buzia on that. Again, if you look at areas like the Apollo
568
issue, where some public servants were dismissed and all that was brought to go. In fact, it was a law that had been implemented earlier before he came, and the introduction, there was misunderstanding and a whole lot of things, to the extent that Buzia said, no court. People didn't realize that. He made that no court statement after the court had given its verdict. And in Ghana, if a judgment has been given, everyone has a right to make a statement about it. And he did not say anything that prejudiced what the court was doing. That aside, if you take the alias compliance order, for instance, which has been bastardized over the years, alias compliance order was a law that was implemented by Kwame Nkrumah's government. And the NLC that came after Nkrumah's government had started implementing it. And Buzia came to implement that order. That's why it is called alias compliance order. He came to implement a law that had been initiated by his predecessor government, Nkrumah. This law says that, look, if you are in a country and you are a foreigner, make sure that you regularize your stay.
Right.
Register with the state. Let us know that you are a foreigner and you are living here. This is what you are doing, and blah, blah, blah. And perhaps people didn't understand. But even today, as we speak, alien compliance order is working in every single country in the world.
Okay.
So the criticisms, if you take your time and you analyze them very well, you realize that the man was misunderstood on many of the things. But eventually, if you look at the achievements and his footprints all over the place, you realize that we were indeed blessed with such a huge figure who contributed immensely to the development of our country. So today, we are commemorating the birth of Buzia by a symposium at the African Regent Hotel in Accra. And we invite you, Kavui, and all the distinguished panelists to come and support us in honoring the memory of this great Ghanaian and African. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anani Ajay is the Executive Director of the Buzia Institute for Rural and Democratic Development, BIRDD, commemorating 110 years of the birth of Kofi Abrefa Buzia, who would become second Prime Minister of Ghana. You're watching hashtag GTV Breakfast. My name is Kafui Day. My guests are a professor and a lawyer, and we are looking at the news. So the Daily Graphic has a bewigged Attorney General talking about fighting a $300 million claim. So they've gone to court, the Attorney General has gone to court to stop an Australian mining firm, Cassius Mining Limited, from pursuing an international arbitration seeking $300 million from the government of Ghana. Ministry of Health has advocated an increase in duties on tobacco and alcohol. So jot and booze is going to be a bit more expensive, my people. The finance minister has given us some money matters. He says the contingency fund now stands at 200 million Ghana cedis. Dr. Osanye will tell me what that is all about. And back page, GFA to invest in more clubs. So the Ghana Football Association had their big meeting yesterday, and they are talking about putting money into football. All right, they're going to invest $600,000 into juvenile football. Okay, Ghanaian Times. Ghana can bag 3.5 billion revenue from alcohol, tobacco, and sugar-sweetened beverage taxes. Okay, so it's booze, jot, and soft drink. Yeah, so we're going to tax all of that stuff to reduce the non-communicable disease burden. Okay, road minister is doing road inspection. Remember the tanker drivers did a one-day strike, and Charlie, we were all filling our tanks like there was no tomorrow. You know, they did have some small shaggy, and then the roads are now being fixed. So the road minister is going to check those roads. Okay, very sad one here. 2 brothers drowned in a pond at an abandoned quarry site. This is so sad. Serious negligence issues there. And the shocking waste of life in this country is just heartbreaking. So a family is bereaved there. 2 brothers drowning in a pond. It's page 3. On the back page of the Ghanaian Times, Assembly has destroyed Tozafi flour dried on a pavement. So this is the Ayawaso East Municipal Assembly, Greater Accra Region, has destroyed over 200 kilos of contaminated maize flour meant for preparation of Tozafi for safety reasons. It had been dried 8 hours daily on the pavement with angry pedestrians walking through, sometimes even spitting on it. Oh, Lord. Lord have mercy. What a breakfast. Exposed to particles of smoke from vehicle exhaust fumes and worn-out lorry tires. I mean, all this stuff. So the environmental health officer seized contaminated flour and properly disposed of it after they were informed that they had been dried on unprotected plastic sheets mixed with sand on pavements along the Kanda to Kawukudi highway. What? Crazy. So good job. How can food handlers be selling on smelly and fly-infested drains with executive officers, scholars, and intelligent adults scrambling for positions in queues to buy death for themselves? This is a very poetic Mr. Douglas Tego, Greater Accra Regional Environmental Health Director, talking about this. So, good job. And there are pictures there, back page of today's Ghanaian Times. You can zoom it for me. That's the Tozafi flour before it was destroyed. It's right there. Have a look at it. Yeah, and I see it. I see a lot of dried fish when I'm driving from Korle Gonno towards the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park on the left side. Lots of fish. You know, I like fish, but when you see the way they deal with the fish on the floor, then you wonder. Because lizards can pass by and drop their business cards. They can drop their business cards on that fish. And then you go and eat lizard-infested nui. How do they call it in Ever? No, man, doglo. Lizard is doglo, the fish that they be drying there. Those small fish.
Is it not the Abobi or the Kita school boys?
Yeah. You know, you have lizards. Lizards are spicing your food. You know, so this is a great piece of news. So please go to Korle Gonno and that area and deal with them. Deal with them seriously. More headlines. The Finder. National Health Insurance has cleared a 1 billion CD arrears situation. That's great. Solving cash flows. The bow tie wearing Dr. Okoboy, I think he has about 1,000 of these bow ties. You know, it's just like me and my hats. Kafu used to hats, as Okoboy is to bow ties. Right. Yeah, he's smiling there. Dr. Abdul Hamid calls for revision of Arabic and Islamic educational curricula. Thank you for that. And residents of Lawishim appeal for bridge to enable students to get to school daily. Okay, so these are a couple of headlines. Which one strikes your fancy, Professor Bruce?
It's about the tax on alcoholic beverages and jots.
Jot and booze.
Yes.
And sweetened beverages.
As for Yoki, with reference to my mom again.
Yes, mommy. She's featuring.
She told me that there was a gentleman who loved drinking alcohol. And those days they were increasing prices of alcohol. Yakoteshi.
Okay.
And he said even they use teaspoon to measure it. He will buy it and get drunk.
Oh, that was his vow.
That was his vow. So it means to some people, the alcohol and the cigarette have inelastic demand. No matter how much it is sold, they will buy it. So it could also be a source of revenue for government, and at the same time, preventing many of us from acquiring health-related problems from consuming and smoking the cigarettes.
Yes.
In fact, they are not good to our health anyway. But then at the same time, I'm confused though. we are talking about establishing factories. Assuming Casapreco factory, which has even gotten government support, then to production of these Casapreco drinks.
Yes.
And then you put a tax on it, and the products are not bought. So why do we establish the factories again? So I think we need to strike a balance. The factories must survive, whereas the people who enjoy the alcohol too must survive. You see the point? So let us not make it like we are punishing the consumers and the products must be gone out of the market because we needed more money. You see, we need employment for people. At the same time, we cannot prevent people from enjoying. You see, work and happiness is there. So if your people are working, they must also enjoy. But when you put a tax on all these things, it also deters them from buying it. So health-wise, I support it. But economic-wise, we must take a second look at it also. But as for health, smoking, you see, if it can be entirely banned, I will support it. Because the effect, the effect.
Yeah, in other words, we say it literally it means you are drinking fire.
You are smoking fire.
A joke.
You see, the inhaler and all those things. You see, finally, it causes dry skin, it leads to hypertension, it destroys your liver, it causes stroke, and all those things. So we total ban on it.
You would go for a ban.
I will go for a total ban on it. It's not nice. If we cannot smoke it in public vehicles and public offices, and then we know that the thing is not good and it's not good. So I will call for it. That's my take on it.
Okay, so Jot, you smoke? You smoke? Do you drink alcohol? Are you a fan of sweetened beverages? Your favorite tipple or your favorite fire stick is about to go up in terms of prices.
You know, the cigarette butts has been behind some of the major bushfires.
Yes.
People smoke and then they throw the butt over there.
Yeah. Do people still smoke cigarettes? It's not long time.
Yeah, people smoke. People smoke. It's very common. Very, very high.
And have
very
you seen
common.
the pictures of ravaged hearts and livers on the covers? You know, there's a rule now that you have to show pictures of the damage that is being caused to your organs. So people look at the packs and still buy it, right?
Yeah.
Inelastic demand.
Inelastic demand.
Because what's on your mind? I mean, walk me to the stories.
Thank you very much. I think the first one is on the 300 million case.
Yes.
The Attorney General has gone to court.
He's gone to court.
Yes. You know, under mining, there are 3 stages. First, if you want to mine, you apply for what we call the reconnaissance license, where you go and do reconnaissance and check whether you can get mining minerals in commercial quantities. Then once you are able to establish that you have some resources there, you go for what we call prospecting license. And the prospecting license is given in the initial years of period of 3 years. Once 3 years expires, you can apply to the minister for a further renewal for another 3 years. Then once after prospecting, you are able to establish minerals in commercial quantities. Then you go for what we call proper mineral list. Under this arrangement, they went for prospecting and they gave them the first prospecting license for 3 years. And within the prospecting agreement, there is a dispute resolution clause which requires that you exhaust the arbitration system within Ghana before you go international. But this particular firm decided that, look, I mean, first it expired and they wanted a renewal. And you have to satisfy certain conditions. Yes. Government did not renew it for them. Then they went straight to international arbitration. So all the Attorney General is saying is that there is a clause in your prospecting license agreement that if there is a dispute, exhaust the domestic forum first. Then after that, you can go international. And I think I want to agree with you. So it is all about that one. The second one is the funds. The funds, basically under our constitution, we have 3 sources of public funds. We have the consolidated fund, we have the contingency fund, and any other fund set up by government. The consolidated fund is the fund into which all taxes are paid and all disbursements are made. The contingency fund is a special fund created by Parliament, set some funds aside to cater for emergencies and unforeseen issues. So if Parliament, through a request from the Ministry of Finance, makes a vote or transfers money into the contingency fund, it's a good thing. What it means is, as a country, we are prepared for any emergency that would arise. We were caught pants down when COVID came because our contingency fund could not cope with the COVID challenges.
Okay.
So any money that goes into the contingency fund, I'm all for it, except that as Article 177 of our Constitution requires,
Okay.
the proper estimate, the proper budget must go with it, so that Parliament will be able to play its oversight role and ensure that funds within the contingency fund are used well.
Okay. So yeah, it's all about money really. So the contingency fund is about money that we are using for contingencies.
Yes.
Yeah, and then of course the issue on taxes for the fire sticks that you light and put in your mouth. Reminds me this one there. I remember when I was in secondary school, one of the girls used to smoke a lot. And one day somebody came and wrote on the blackboard, definition of a cigarette: a fire at one end and a fool at the other. Smokers are not going to be happy with me today. Two of my brothers smoke, but I'm your big brother, so I can say it. Yeah, a fire at one end and a fool at the other. So determine which one you are. If you're not the fire, then. Yeah, but I also know that people are addicted.
Yeah.
But you can get, once you are addicted, you can get off. Isn't that
Oh,
possible?
yeah.
I mean, the psychologist,
yeah.
what's happening when addiction is going on?
Oh, if we can take you to aversive therapy.
Aversive therapy?
Yes. When you smoke, we can inject you with some liquid.
Okay.
The moment you smoke, then you vomit.
Kai.
So it goes with that pain. If you want to smoke, then continue.
If you want to vomit, then smoke.
If you just smoke.
If you want to smoke, then vomit.
Smoke. Or there is a pseudo cigarette that we gave to them. There's a chewing gum. We gave it to them. The same tobacco feeling you have when you are chewing the gum, you have it. So it's better that those
like
things
a
they are there.
PK,
those things are there. They are very expensive.
PK tobacco.
Yeah, you chew it. It's artificial one, but when you chew it, it's the flavor that you get and the feeling you get from cigarette is also there. But at a point, we have to take you off it, because when you also become addicted to it, it's a problem. So the best thing is the aversive therapy.
You're reminding me of my grandma. May she rest in peace. So this is like the early 80s.
Yeah.
She used to send us to go and buy tobacco for her. We used to live in South Labadi Estate. And the tobacco was in La.
Yeah.
And she knew that we hated to move because you had to walk all the way there. And this is the way she used to order, get us to go and buy. She won't even look into your face. She says, that's right. Go and buy tobacco for me. So we'll go there and go and buy the tobacco. One day, Grandma overdosed on the tobacco.
That's serious, huh?
She got so high, she passed out. And then all we heard was, "Hey, mama." Then everybody rushed in there. We were pouring water on her. We were slapping this old lady. She woke up. After 2 hours. In a Tamanam. Go buy some more tobacco. So addiction is real, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know how she got. I don't know whether she ever got over her addiction of this. She used to chew it. You know, she used to put it on her nail and then sniff it.
Yeah,
Direct
some is mainly
nasal
the powder
inhalation of
and
snuff, right?
Yeah.
And then she's high. My
Yeah,
grandma is
she's
high.
high, yeah.
Just imagine.
Just for
80-year-old.
10, maximum 15 minutes, we are okay.
She was
The high is
in
gone.
the cloud, and she'll be smiling and
Yeah.
you know, telling us all
And
kinds
then
of stories.
tears will be
Tears
coming
will
out
come.
of-
She's
Yeah,
laughing,
yeah,
she's
yeah,
smiling, she's crying, she's high. You know. Oh, grandma, Mama Nukuno, may you rest in peace. Listen, so Aisha, not a damsel from Damango or Tamale. Aisha Wang. She's in the news. I think we can cut to a news story of Aisha Wang, and then because she's saying all kinds of very interesting things. So let's check out this news story which Maltiti read earlier this morning. If you missed the 6 o'clock news, well, this was a hot one. So, and then we'll have some comment on this whole Aisha Wang, aka Galamsey Queen, who is saying different things. So check it out.
Huang, also known as Aisha Huang, who opened her defense on Monday morning, denied allegations that she operates moving machines and other mining equipment. She said she does not have a driver's license and does not drive at all, and so does not operate an excavator, as alleged by prosecution. She told the court she lived in Ahojo, Kumasi in the Ashanti region from 2011 until her deportation in December 2018. According to her, between 2013 and 2018, she operated a supermarket popularly known as Aisha Supermarket at Ahoju, Kumasi, which was mostly patronized by Chinese customers. She claims she has no formal education in either English or Twi and cannot read or write any of them. However, her long stay in Ghana and interactions with Ghanaians, she picked up basics of the English language for her daily routine. She said this led to her popularity among Chinese nationals and became a point of reference, a go-to person, and a place of safe custody for especially her fellow nationals in Kumasi. She also became a contact person for most Ghanaians and state institutions, including the Ghana Immigration Service, in their dealings with Chinese nationals in the Ashanti region. She denied the publications tendered in as evidence, alleging that her company engaged in mining or provided mining support services. Ms. Huang claimed those were ploys by the witnesses to play into a narrative in the media by a particular witness whose concession is affected by illegal mining activities. She said following the publications, she was invited by the Ghana Immigration Service in 2016 for questioning and a statement written in English for her to sign without officials explaining the content to her. Aisha Huang told the court the allegations of illegally mining on a concession of one of prosecution's witnesses leveled against her and her company are baseless and untrue.
Let me speak to the lawyer now. So is this some kind of strategy by lawyers to kind of this? Because she was been in the news for so many times, there's almost a connection. When you hear Aisha, you think of Galamsey, but she's denying getting involved in illegal mining. Is this some kind of legal strategy to you know? I mean, what's going on?
It's not a legal strategy. In law, the rule of the game is evidence.
Okay.
So you should, and this is a criminal trial, and in a criminal trial, the burden of proof or the standard of proof on the prosecutor is to prove his case beyond reasonable doubt that the lady was involved in illegal mining. That is the duty of the prosecution to prove.
In a criminal case, who is the prosecutor? The state?
The state.
So
the criminal case is when you have offended the state. So it is the Attorney General who prosecutes you, or a representative of the Attorney General, be it the police or any other institution with prosecutorial powers. In this case, it is the Attorney General. So Attorney General would have to prove that you are connected to illegal mining beyond reasonable doubt.
Okay.
The work of the defense counsel, who is Aisha's counsel or lawyer, is to raise a reasonable doubt.
Okay. Punch holes
In the evidence produced or submitted by the prosecutor, and that is the easiest work to do. In fact, the defense counsel has the easiest work to do. The most difficult work is done by the prosecutor. That is why you hear the defense or the accused raising all kinds of issues. They will say all kinds of things. Whether they are true or not, it is up to the defense counsel to come in and tender in the appropriate evidence. So she can say that she doesn't have driver's license, doesn't have this. Fine, you can. It is your right. But then the Attorney General would also cross-examine her. You understand it? So having made all those statements, they will cross-examine you and bring the appropriate evidence. The rule of the game is evidence. You cannot make all these statements and think that the judge will take it like that. No, you have to defend yourself, and the defense counsel's work is to raise a reasonable doubt in the prosecution's case. So these things are normal. They will have to defend themselves.
Rob Bruce?
Yeah.
I know you're following this as an interested Ghanaian.
Yes.
What does your psychological pair of glasses tell you?
Aisha won Rosewood.
Rosewood, yeah.
Aisha won deported. Aisha won returned to Ghana through the Ghana-Togo border. Aisha won we ahead. What would the nation benefit if she were prosecuted? So we are making a personality of Aisha One very tall, and it's sending an international signal. If you can treat a foreigner like this, what about your own natives, who perhaps may be engaging in other illegal activities, especially the Galamsey? So whatever is happening to Aisha One, the same rule must be applied to Ghanaians, so that we know that we are into a fair game. Aisha One is being made an idol, and all eyes are on her. She's not the only problem we have in Ghana. Aisha One is not the only problem we have in Ghana.
That's all.
So there are many other problems. If foreigners, please, you are in somebody's country, follow the rules and regulations and you are free. That's what I will say about Aisha One.
That's all.
Look at the Ghanaians who have converted our river bodies into the color you are holding. What are we doing to them? This morning, some of them are very busy digging down there and destroying these water bodies. They are free. Aisha One is going to the court. Are we being fair? Let's apply the same rule to everybody, native and foreign, young and old, man and woman, so that we save our water bodies. It's not nice. We should not be loose at one place and be very strong at the other place. Let's chase those who are converting our water bodies into the one you are holding in your hand right now. Our future is at stake. Who knows, we may be importing water from China and they'll use Aisha One as a test case against us.
Ubajani. Thank you. Messages before we go. 055-556-1034. And when I see his name, I slow down the speed because he's been blasting me about my speed. Happy birthday to Prime Minister of Ghana, Kofi Buzia, former. Condolences to the Buzia family for his passing. From Haji Dawuda, Medina Estate. Kafui, don't you think lawyers of cigarette smoking companies would take you on for your comments because their sales may drop? From Alhaji Dawuda, Medina Estate. No. Tonyeli, what are the security measures put in place to protect the artifacts on display? You're talking about the Memorial Park. In your opinion, it should be termed a security zone. Oh, really? Come on, man. It's tourism. Come on. Because Kwame Nkrumah's artifacts on display, they need tough 24/7 security from both military and fire service to protect them for generations unborn. Please, buildings are collapsing, accidents are happening, floods are happening. Let's deploy our fire service to those places. I'm going on the Prof. Bruce tangent right here. Yeah, we have Aisha, but we also have people turning water like this. Let's leave our fire people to extricate people from accident scenes. Please, who asked the bulletproof windows of the car to be changed? The car before, or the car previously had bullet wounds. Oh, okay. I feel whoever asked for it to be worked on did generations a lot of harm. Okay, so you wanted to have the marks of the bullets. He calls them bullet wounds. I like it. Please, they should bring back the bulletproof glass that had severe bullet wounds. At least we beg them, so that we can keep the history. We shouldn't sanitize the history, is what you are saying. Okay. Your name is DDY. Please, where is Mr. Anochi Frimpong? We need him to give us more history about our own country, Ghana. He will be back. DDY, I want to know your initials. We were told in our middle school that Professor K. Buzia was the first professor in Africa. Well, he clarified that this is the first Ghanaian professor to work here, because we also had Anton, Professor Lawyer Anochi spoke to us about Amu, from way back, who was a professor in Europe. All right, okay. So that's the difference there. Okay, so I think we are done. Good morning to you. Wow, these are the long ones. You know how I do it, Aaron. I read the first and the last. Good morning to you, flag bearer race. This is one of the strongest and most competitive races. Last one, the voting community is now discerning and they cannot be taken for granted. Aaron, reduce your comments. Go to ChatGPT and say, reduce this by 50%. And the comment will reduce, because these are long, you know. I'm almost done. Good morning, gentlemen. How I miss sending messages because I got so busy. It's really good for the birth to have a birth certificate for all your kids. But becoming it has become business now, especially the biometric one. It is easy to get the one for 0 to 12 months, but getting into the biometric form will take 1 year. And this is the case, you can't have a passport without it. My brother, who will be 43 years old this year, went to birth and death, and they said he needed to do something. They said he should produce his birth certificate. His parents are both dead. His parents are my parents. Well, they are both dead. How are you going to get? How is he going to get that paper? He was born in Ghana. Rich Hospital should be able to give you all that information. I don't even understand why officials give us all this wahala. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you so much. Dr. Sai, have a good day. Prof. Bruce, you have a good book there. The Obstacle is the Way.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Next week, please give us a summary of the book.
Okay.
Yes, I like the title.
Thank you.
All right. We've got conversations coming up, but there's a 5th year birthday celebration, which you want to be part of. We're talking tourism as well. And the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park opens to you and I at 8:30 today. So 7 minutes time. You stick around. This is hashtag GTV Breakfast. Please pay your TV license. I need to confirm whether Prof. Bruce and Dr. Osai have paid their TV license. I'll come back next week with more information on that. You stick around. Don't go anywhere. This is hashtag GTV Breakfast. My name is Kafi Day.